Welcome to the Curtis Heritage Education Center, where today's video is going to feature an early 1900s American LaFrance ladder wagon. This ladder wagon was built by the American LaFrance Fire Company, who became one of the premier builders of firefighting equipment. It stayed in business from 1870 until 2014. This piece was developed to solve a problem of buildings were getting built taller than you could reach with a bucket brigade. So they had to find a way of getting water and rescuing people from taller and taller buildings. This carried up to 3 ladders, 2 of which uniquely could be put together to form an extension ladder. But the realistic limit of this was about 3 floors. This particular piece was pulled by firemen, not horse-drawn. In the front, when you got the rope the length you wanted it for the number of people you had pulling it, this latch would lock it. So it turns and locks. These hooks would have been used to hang buckets on, a number of buckets, so that when they arrived, they had plenty of buckets available. A very important job in the earliest days of firefighting was saving people's possessions. In the early 1900s, one of the most important possessions every family had was their beds. There was actually a tool developed called the bed bolt tool. They would use that to dismantle the bed on site quickly so it could get moved out of the building. A major motivation for saving as much of the possessions as possible is because if the house was insured, then the insurance company who is going to pay your department for fighting the fire, you would like to minimize their loss as an incentive for them to want to keep you on as one of their companies. People would have their house identified with an insurance company, and if you had an uninsured structure, you ran the risk of no fire company fighting your fire. We talked about the limitation of how high ladders could reach, about the 3rd, maybe the 4th floor. What happens if you're on the 7th or 8th floor of a building that's on fire? The fire's below you, so you can't go down. Your options were pretty limited. The innovation is the safety net. So you're on the 8th floor, you're looking down. Here are these 12 firefighters looking up at you, holding this safety net. They're trying to judge where you're going to jump. They're moving back and forth, and you have to make the decision to jump for that little spot. And the question, was it successful? Well, the success was basically hit or miss. Most of the developments or advancements in firefighting technology came about, sadly, because of major disasters, one of which was the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in 1911. Hundreds of workers were trapped on the 7th, 8th, and 9th floors. The fire was below them. The stairwells were locked. That was common then. You didn't want your workers to be sneaking out, taking unauthorized breaks, so you'd lock the exits. So they were trapped, and the firefighters on scene found pretty quickly that their ladders only reached to the 3rd or 4th floor. So they broke out the safety net, and unfortunately, people jumping from that high or jumping with their friend ripped the net. As more nets broke, they had fewer and fewer ways to save people. Thankfully today, we don't have to rely on this outdated technology. The advancements that have occurred just in the last century means instead of a ladder wagon that can only reach the 3rd floor, we now have ladder trucks that can reach people from 100 feet in the air. The ladder trucks can carry a nozzle to the top of the ladder and spray water from 100 feet in the air, which enables better firefighting on tall buildings. But most thankfully, we don't have to rely on jumping out of a building and hitting a net. If you enjoyed this video, go to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Learn more about our organization.